What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Khaya Real Estate Podcast. It has been an insane week in real estate. We're seeing lots of action in the market, and I want Lisa, you've had a crazy 2 weeks. Tell us about, you've gotten these 3 deals under contract, all very different deals in their own right. But what I would like to highlight here, and I know I brag for Lisa, she hates bragging herself, but she has done such a great job for these 3 particular clients this week that I want you to talk about. You mentioned it to me that you have found this sweet spot and, have got these 3 deals under contract that are all super fun, but also very, very helpful from an agent perspective. So tell me about that. Tell everybody, 1, about just a little bit about each story, and 2, what it took to get that over the hump into the contract.
Well, that's a great question, Nick. I love how real estate changes people's lives so much. It's probably an obsession, borderline addiction, how much I love this. And the harder the market gets, the more fun I have fighting for my clients. So the 3 that I have closed this month are really interesting stories that I love to share because maybe it can help somebody out there. So one is my friend Badger. He's actually the cameraman here. Really awesome human. We met through the Burning Man community. He lived in his van on purpose, mind you, but kind of a off the grid, leave no trace, didn't necessarily believe in owning real estate for the man. And the conversation was like, that's great, but you have to live somewhere eventually. And instead of paying somebody else's rent and building wealth for a different man, let's build it for yourself. And this concept of like, can you get into a great home in a great location for about the same money that he would pay rent? Single dude, about 30, was like, yeah, you know what? What's a 1-bedroom in a great spot in Denver gonna cost? Anywhere from 12 to 2K, let's say. Yeah. I said, all right, I'll bet you a really nice bottle of whiskey, I can get you in an awesome home for out of pocket less than 2K. And sure enough, we found this great home right off 6th Avenue. He can walk everywhere. And he paid about $460 for it. Mind you, it appraised at $500. So there's already $40K of instant equity. We got a rate buy down, so his payment is manageable. And I'll give you some real numbers. Because he put such little money down, right? His payment's about $3,400, including PMI, PITI, all that, and we can go into that. Principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and mortgage insurance. If you put less than 20% down, you have a little bit extra payment. So it's a pretty stiff payment right now with this interest rate. But he's renting the top. It's a great little single family home, walkout basement to the downstairs unit. He's renting the top as a separate unit for $2K a month. That means his out-of-pocket expense every month is $1,500, less than rent. He owns an amazing $500,000 asset, and boom, right? If he wants to Airbnb the basement and go take off in his van and bum around for a while, he can do that. And you know what? He got into this home for less than $20,000 out of pocket. And another interesting component to my friend Badger is he's not going to be in Denver very long. He's truly a gypsy and wants to travel. And I hear this a lot from young people. I don't want to own a home here because I don't want to be committed or tied down here. I mean, who's tied down anymore? We don't even get married. You're not tied down to real estate. We have a plethora of management options and partners for you that when he moves away, which will probably be in a year or 2, we will help him manage and rent that whole house. So it's cash flowing. So while he's off traveling the world, spinning fire at Burning Man, he'll be getting passive income every month. And so I think that's a win.
And what's great about that is he now owns something that, should he decide to travel for months at a time, that he can rent out the entire unit and be cash flow positive. He's building wealth, building equity. I love that story. The term used for that is house hacking, which is becoming more and more prevalent and popular as home prices rise and cost of living rises. You see a lot of friends buy homes together and things like that. Lisa, one thing that you really excel in is being a single mom. You have these insane connections with women and with teachers and with single moms. Tell me the story. This is one I particularly love because one of my other agents, who happens to be my mother, is the listing agent on this deal that you guys worked out a deal. Tell that story quickly because this one is so cool. Not only on the listing side helping out from DHODAP, but you and your client that have married into this deal to where it's providing value just on all sides.
Oh, I love what I do. It's a blessing. I happened to be at a PTA meeting, Parent Teacher Association for the non-moms out there, at my kid's school. And we were going over the budget. And the director of our school was commenting on how hard it is to get good teachers and retain them. In Denver, a DPS school, because the cost of living is so high here. And I raised my hand. I was like, oh, I can help with that. You know, me and my big mouth, it's always getting me into trouble. But in this case, it's helping a young couple. So 2 teachers at school. One's a teacher, one's actually the front desk, you know, a staff member. Bless their heart, combined income is less than $100,000. And they never thought they could afford anything in Denver. We sat down, we ran numbers, we went to my amazing lender, Nicole Ruth, shout out, and figured out what is the best first-time homebuyer program. Is it CHAFA? Is it a DPA, a down payment assistance program? Is it gonna be all the different, you know, the new discount points if you make under a certain amount, right? We're getting them a discount on that. So I get them qualified. It's a hard $300,000 limit in Denver is hard. You're pretty much looking at a condo if you want to be close to town. And sure enough, then we're at a Khaya real estate team meeting, and your mom, Dee, sorry, who's awesome, is like, oh, I have to go to the listing appointment. I have this great condo that we're getting ready to list. And I was like, where is it? How much is it? And I want it. Sure enough, off-market deal. We got it for the right price. We also got a rate buy down. So it's something that this young couple can afford.
Yep.
So it's a win-win. Her sellers didn't have to list it and didn't want to. They're coming out of a traumatic experience with a family member dying, and that's really hard, right? You don't want to list your house and have people in and out and all that. My young, amazing teachers who never thought they could own a home in Denver are getting a great condo, walkable to our school. It was off market. We saved them on realtor fees, and it's just an overall really great story of why we love to do this. And I will say, you don't know this yet, but I actually donated my commission back to the school.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that, and it's so much more, you know, than just help. You know, again, spinning a lockbox. And for the last few years, excuse me, real estate has been so difficult on the buyer's side that it has given so many buyers that same sentiment. Oh, I'll never be able to get into a house. I'll never be able to afford. And that's such a wrong way to look at it. And I love that story because you educated these individuals that originally had already sunken and cemented in their minds that they simply couldn't get into a property. They're now homeowners. They now have a place to call their own. And then on the other end, by not having to go on the market, it made everybody happy, made the transaction smooth. Everybody's excited about it. And I love that you donated your commission. It's just, especially in times like today when, you know, finances are getting tight, not just, it's across the board for everybody. It's just such a cool move. And so the last story I want to cover, and this one's just, I love this deal because it's so different and unique. And not many people understand that you can even do this on your third deal, and that's where it's so powerful to me, is that you have educated this individual and built an incredible portfolio. So we've talked about the house hacking deal that Lisa did with Badger, the beautiful condo that you got for the teachers, and that last one that you're closing this week is an unbelievable duplex with an VA loan.
Less than 20 grand out of pocket.
Less than 20 grand out of pocket on a VA loan that is a primary residence. Lisa, this is all just, it still blows my mind how you do any of these things. But I don't think many people understand that you can utilize these loans and get into a multifamily property.
Absolutely.
Tell us about this deal. Tell us how you worked it. Tell us about the portfolio. I love this.
Me too. One of the things I love most about real estate is the chess game component, right? It's okay, what are the pieces we have? What are the rules? And what is the goals? What are we trying to get to? Is it just to own a home and not pay rent? Awesome. Is it to own 100 doors, which happens to be this particular client's goals? And we're on 11, by the way, in 3 years. So I think we're going to get there. But how we utilize multifamily, and this is important to know. When you buy a legal, meaning a zoned duplex, triplex, or quad, so up to 4 units, you can actually use the rent to help you qualify, whether it's conventional financing or a VA loan in this case. So this gentleman, he's stationed down in Colorado Springs, and so we bought him a quadplex, in 2019. So 4 units, he lives in one, and the other 3 pay the whole mortgage. So he lives for free, mind you. So he's been down there a few years. He's sort of graduating to the city. He wants to move up to Denver. So great. He has what's called an allocation. We don't have to get in the weeds with a VA loan, but you're allocated so much money from your time, from your service. So we didn't use all of it. His quadplex in the Springs was under $500,000 a few years ago. So he has a remaining $650,000 balance, if you will, that he can use to buy another primary home. Well, I happened to find a duplex in Denver, right across from DU, that was a little outside of his price point. So I negotiated it down to $650,000. And then in order to make the numbers work, he needed a pretty significant concession to buy the rate down. And that just means that it was a payment that he could afford to get qualified for what's called the DTI, your debt to income ratio. Right. And none of this has to make any sense to you guys, but this is all that goes into what we do. It's almost like a solution architect of like, how do you get the most bang for your buck?
It's a lot of financial engineering, right?
Knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, it's working with backing into a budget and for a monthly payment and seeing what loan products are at your disposal to get there.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely. So this VA loan, which is a great rate, it's less than $20K out of pocket. We got $24,800 back in inspection to cover buy down and closing costs. So he's out of pocket, I think, $18K on this deal. And he's going to live in one unit and rent the other. And eventually he'll move out and rent both units in cash flow, and we'll do it again, and we'll do it again. And that's just how you truly build real, sustainable, long-term wealth. Now, this isn't easy. This isn't sexy. It's hard. There's a lot of months that you have vacancy and things break. And I know we're going to do a whole nother podcast on what's like the nitty-gritty of owning real estate. What are the tough points? What are the tips and tricks to comprehensive asset management? But I did want to throw that out there that like, this isn't like a magic, like pull rabbit out of a hat shit. Like this is hard work.
It's very hard work, and it's funny because, as my wife says, it's not always glitter and ponies. And
being married to you, it's not always glitter and ponies.
Certainly being married to me.
Let's take another shot of whiskey, and then we'll see.
But what I absolutely love about that story, Lisa, and just in general, is the knowledge of knowing and understanding the product and knowing and understanding your client's goals. So often I walk into listing appointments and I talk the seller out of selling their home because I convince them to keep it and rent it and utilize, whether it be equity, whether it be cash.
Remember when Zillow got mad at me for that?
To go purchase another unit and keep their home to generate wealth, to put their kids through college. We'll talk about that in a different episode, but what I love about that story is not many people, specifically with VA loans, understand what they have at their disposal, and for you to educate him and be on 11 doors utilizing these financing tools is just so amazing to me. And while owning real estate is hard and there are tough times about it, it is so gratifying to go excel and get over that hump and get through those challenges. And fast forward 10 years from then, and you're saying, oh, wow, I have a ton of equity. I'm cash flowing nicely. I can take that vacation. I can do whatever. Specifically being that he's in the military and so often not here in town, oftentimes out of the country, that you have provided him with a solution that when he is away, that he's still making money and gaining wealth. It's just incredible.
He actually just got to pay off his mom's house. The equity that we have in the other houses, he pulled out in a HELOC and paid off his mom's house. And that was his goal. And that's the most beautiful thing you can do, to your point, is to help your clients reach their goals.
Exactly. So we'll wrap up this week's There with, just the stories of Lisa's crazy few weeks.
When there's some not crazy.
I
think we should call this podcast like real estate therapy.
That is pretty good.
Or some kind of real therapy. To agents, like I have agents that call me crying.
I like that,
How did you
real
win this
estate
deal?
therapy.
Yeah, real estate therapy.